welcome all of you. This is the first session of the year with our digital stage. We have changed it up a little bit from last year because our feeling was an engagement once a month was not a deep enough engagement to keep involvement through this important space. Our assessment, some of you may or may not have been on earlier calls, is there was a perception that the emphasis of this program has been on the kids doing STEM subjects, math, science, life sciences, and accounting. But I think we all acknowledge that the humanities and history and geography and performance and human relationships are as critical, if not more critical, in terms of how we move our society forward. And this platform really is a digital platform. You know, previously we have done public speaking and performing arts in the schools, and we've done it to good effect. We've seen amazing outcomes with our learners who have embraced public speaking as an art and a communication form. We've seen amazing performances put on by students collaborating in the performance space, singing and dance and acting. But today we're shifting into the digital world. And our outcome is still to continue to do this, but to create digital content that, interestingly, we can share more widely and more broadly than an actual performance. You know, an actual performance is amazing because the adrenaline rush is there. You get to do it once, you get immediate feedback. There's the tension and the pressure, and you're working to deadlines. And that's an amazing skill to learn to master. And you can put it to work in any aspect of your life. When it comes to writing exams or going for a job interview or doing a pitch or a tender, it's important that you're performing in that particular moment. But we want to do this now digitally. And that's a whole new set of skills that we still have to create the content. We still have to have something to say in terms of our public speech or our performance, and it still has to be excellent. You know, the fact that we're going to record it doesn't mean we don't have to rehearse as much, doesn't mean we don't have to be as good or as driven in terms of the product that we're creating. But the fact that we're going to go beyond the product and also film it is a whole nother set of skills that we're bringing in to the equation. How do we film it? How do we edit it? How do we get the best sound? How do we manage the light and the picture? And how do we curate this to create a digital offering that we can share with other people? And most importantly, what we want from this offer is to move people. We want to persuade them. We want to change their minds. We want to change their attitudes. We want to make them feel an emotion. We want to govern all of that environment. And this is the journey we're going to be walking, led by Sam and Sonolo. And so I'm going to hand over to them. They are going to be running a curriculum for you. We're going to meet once a month, and we're going to engage with guests out of the top drawer who are going to share insights and experiences with you. And between each session, once a month, Sam and Sonolo are going to give you some challenges. They're going to give you some exercises. And those exercises and challenges are designed to improve your skill, to hone your talent, to get you better at the art of communication and performance so that we can move people. And I think that's the biggest challenge we have in this country. We've all got to learn to move people, and we've got to start moving in the same direction if we want to build a successful and winning nation. So that's my introduction. Sorry for rambling a little bit earlier, but welcome to everybody. We're pleased to have you. And Sam, it's yours.
Thank you so much, Clifford. And as always, I am so appreciative of and love the space. Last year was particularly tricky because it was moving on to the online space. However, it was still incredible to be able to get brilliant professional artists on who acted as mentors for that brief sort of webinar session. But this year, as Clifford says, we've changed it up. We've decided that we really want, you know, what's the point of doing it if we can't engage properly and if we can't really make a difference and make an impact? So I have already, and Bronwyn have also been communicating with you educators, wonderful educators. Thank you so much. And apologies for all the messages that you have been getting already on WhatsApp and all of the, over the weekends as well. I have sent through, obviously, a document for expectations for both learners and for educators, just so you see what is expected and just in terms of engagement and helping us. But generally, the reason we've set up these learner WhatsApp groups is to take the pressure off you so we can connect and communicate like straight away and engage implicitly with these learners one-on-one, that we create these beautiful safe spaces. So each school has their own WhatsApp group. It is a safe space for learners to absolutely express themselves, to learn how to express yourself, how to get in touch with what it is that you're actually really thinking. You know, what are you thinking in this day and age? We've gone through so much the last year, and this year especially, it's continuing on. So how are you really thinking, and how are you really feeling? How are we going to allow you and help you to connect more to yourself, and in so doing, connect to others, and also to connect to your purpose? And we think that there is no better way to do that than through the arts. So there are 5 objectives for this before we actually introduce our wonderful guest artist for today. I just wanted to say to you that it really is, we have the first objective is exposure, and it is exposing learners to all forms of the arts, and that is, you know, singing, dancing, acting, music, but music production as well, because as Clifford said, you know, everything is going online. So as much as you want maybe the immediacy of learning to play a musical instrument, but even if you can't, moving online, anyone can learn to become a music producer. So there are also so many different careers that can come out of what we're hoping to set up in this course. So the first thing is exposure to all of those skills, and also all the careers that are actually available to you now, moving online, but in the creative space still. The second is education, and that's why we are going to be engaging with you on a weekly basis. That means every week there is a task. That means I'm going to be a pain and be messaging all the learners every day, checking in, how are you doing, how's your task going? But there will be a life coaching aspect to it as well. So each sort of skill will be accompanied by a performance art craft, and we'll use the two to teach valuable lessons. So as I said, that'll be education. Engagement. We want the learners to engage with each other as well as with us, because when you find your tribe, you feel immediately supported. To be able to be on a WhatsApp group with fellow learners who are just as interested in things that you're interested in, that's amazing. It already establishes this safe space where you can inspire each other, push each other in the best possible way, and have mentors seeing what you're doing, helping you, guiding you. Empowerment is another valuable thing, because we believe that the youth are important. There is great power in the voices of youth, especially now more than ever. And entertainment, finally, is the feeling that while you're doing all of this, it is great fun. You get to uplift people who are watching you, and that's a service that you're going to be giving back. So it's entertaining others, it's lifting the energy of everyone else, but you're learning and you're teaching at the same time. And that's the brilliance of this program. So I'm so glad that we're kicking it off in this way. I'm also extremely excited because we have now 6 online stage sessions. This is our first one. With each online stage session, I will be introducing you to our guest artist, who is also going to be your mentor throughout the program, a guest mentor. So every so often they'll be coming on and commenting on the submissions made as well. And then the final session, number 6 on the 11th of November, our main objective is to have these beautiful curated video submissions that each school will create, about 6 or 7 minutes in length, that'll incorporate all the lessons you've learned during the week, during the 6 months, and that we will finally have an inter-schools competition online. And our guest artists and mentors will be the judges, along with myself and Sonolo and Willem Eckler as well. So that is our main objective. So before I go any more further down the rabbit hole of why and what and all of that, today is really more about introducing you to our guest artists. And I've already sent on those learner WhatsApp groups an introduction video to Leno, where she spoke a little bit about herself. And I hope that stirred up some excitement as well. So without much ado, here is the incredible Ramelo. Hello.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Hi, beautiful learners. Hello, teachers and guests alike. Thank you so much, Ramelo and Sammy and Sunolo, guys, for having me. As much as this is going to be a learning experience for the learners, believe you me when I tell you it's going to be more of a learning experience for me. I love opportunities like this. I get to learn more about myself first and foremost, and learn more about the culture and the environment that I'm trying to create art in as well. So learners, please feel free to engage with me in whatever ways you wish, whatever questions you want to ask, whatever comments you think you have. We're going to speak about, please. Really, this is an opportunity for you. But like I said, with that said, it's also a great opportunity for me, and I'm so grateful.
I find it really funny because generally the most talented people are the most generous and the most humble. And so no one knows actually all about you, Ramelo, and I'm going to call you Ramelo because I know you for many years. And this is what we find is generally, as I say, the most humble and the most brilliant people are really generous with their gifts. So I want to go back in time a little, as I do, to go back to just introducing people to who you were before you are now, and we'll come back to who you are now. But let's start off with who you are, Lelo. So you start off and you're born in KwaZulu-Natal, right? And tell us a little bit about your childhood.
Okay, so before I became Ramelo, one has changed my name like 3 times now. It's all a discovery thing, all a coming of age thing. So way back when I went as Mpume or Pumi, as most people loved calling me, back in Durban. And my childhood was a wonderful one. To be very honest, my mom and dad were there, and the thing that I loved, I think, most about it is that they allowed me the freedom to explore my art. I loved, and also what I loved about it is that they were very artistic people without them even knowing it themselves. They listened to a lot of music, soul, R&B, Michael Jackson's, Aretha Franklin, singers and songwriters that I'm sure you guys might not know because you were just born like the other day, most of you. And that's what started my love for music and for the arts. I guess my family and my parents, especially my dad, from a musical background. My grandfather was an amazing musician. He was a pianist and he was a singer. He had his own choir. My aunt tells me that his choir used to travel all around South Africa, and they had a bus with the choir's name. I can't remember what the choir's name was. So it was an awesome thing for me to learn that my music is inherited. And my dad listened to a lot of blues and soul, the kind of stuff that'll make you guys fall asleep. But it was really drenched in like heavy bluesy sounds. And then from then on, I really started taking interest in auditioning. I went to a lot of auditions when I was when I was in high school mainly. I went to a lot of auditions for different things that the drama teacher would bring, and nobody else would go to those auditions except for me. I was that girl. So I won my very first singing competition that way. And then after that, I went on to join what was called the Robinson's Young Performers. And I tell you, this is where I learned so much about the arts in a very short space of time in my youth. And I really treasure those days because we worked in professional spaces, the Sneerden Theatre, and we worked with professionals, even in my high school days. So that really opened up my eyes to what the artistic world is about, and gave me the opportunity to meet a whole myriad of different people, one of them being my vocal coach, Sharon Williams-Ross. She was the first first person to give me my confidence when it comes to singing and performing. Before I met her, and before craft of singing and performing, I was a very shy person. I wasn't the person that I am today. I mean, I still am shy, but on stage, I couldn't look people in the eye. Communicating how I felt about things wasn't something that came very easily for me, as they do now. The process of having somebody, firstly, who understands me and my background, being a Black child, we come from backgrounds where when you look at adults in the eye, it's seen as being offensive or controversial. It's seen as being disrespectful, right? And so now meeting Sharon, she noticed that and made me see that in this world, looking people in the eye is important, not only so that you can send your message across when you're singing and performing, but also just in your everyday life when you're communicating with the world. And then it made me realize that I need to treat how I am in the world differently from how I am with my family or at home. And by doing that, I certainly got further in the world, and people noticed me more in the world because I was braver and bolder and took a more confident stance in everything that I did, particularly, of course, in my performing and my artistry. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, everything that you said there is so layered, you know. So basically what I picked up from what you were saying is that as you were growing as an artist, you were growing as a human being because it was teaching you those valuable skills, and that's what I maintain.
Yes.
Something that also one only as an artist realizes when you look back, you realize, oh, you know, it's almost like, you have to look back to realize, my goodness, I learned that, but when did I learn it and why did I learn it? And it was through the arts. So I love the fact also that you talk about people might fall asleep, but no, they won't fall asleep at jazz. And the youth of today still need to go back to the classics, baby. And that is in all areas, right? We need to look back at the brilliance, take it, learn from it, change it, and make it our own and move forward, right?
Yes.
And I think you do that so brilliantly. And I can tell that you have been exposed to all sorts of music. For anyone who doesn't know Lelo, you will know her. You probably would have seen her. You would have heard her without knowing it is her, because she pretty much does it all. Jingle, and she's been in stage shows, and Lelo is somebody who has been able to sing like anybody. So if you ask her, please do some Beyonce, she'll sing, that's Beyonce. And then if you ask her to sing more jazz, you go, that's jazz. And then pop. And then, you know, you are so gifted with being able to sing so many different styles. You have this beautiful ability to to engage in a variety of different styles. So, and I think that's also from your background, right? Like what you've been.
Definitely.
So there's also
definitely without a
the arts also teaches you to imitate, interpret, and then perform. I've seen this with dancing. I've seen where dancers from the time that they're little, they'll stand in a dance class, watch the dance teacher, and they copy. So you imitate, but then there's another factor to it. Then suddenly you're having to understand why you're dancing like that. So then you're starting to engage your own feelings and your own emotions, and then you're asked to perform it in your way. And then that's what allows you to take something in by watching or listening, as you do with like styles of music and why you can change your voice, because you've listened to like what it sounds like and how your voice should sound, interpret it, and then present it back as you. So again, I think that's possibly why you are so brilliant at being able to do all of these different styles, because again, it's a skill that one learns. You know?
Sam?
Yes.
I've got my learners were very intrigued by the Beyonce part. So my learners actually learned by hearing. So they're asking, can Lelo maybe hit for us a note or two to prove that she has some Beyonce in her?
Okay, what Beyonce song would you guys like me to sing for you?
Ave Maria.
Ave Maria. Okay.
Lelo, do you know all of it, but do you know, I mean, this is like a karaoke thing now. This is like Jukebox Live. Lelo, can you do this? Lelo, can you sing Michael Jackson, Beat It?
I'll sing, remember those walls I built? Well, baby, they're tumbling down. They didn't even put up a fight. They didn't even make a sound. I found a way to let you in, but I never really had a doubt. Standing in the light of your halo, got my angel now. Feels like I've been awakened. Every rule I had you breaking. It's the risk that I'm taking. I ain't never gonna shut down. Everywhere I'm looking now, I'm surrounded by your embrace. Baby, I can see your halo. You know it won't fade away. You're everything I need and more. Written all over your face. Baby, I can see your halo. Follow, don't fade away. Halo. Yeah, that's Miss Beyonce.
And you know, Wi-Fi and all of that, and like you still give me goosebumps. I got goosebumps when you did that.
Ah, thank you. Now, Beyonce is one of those consummate performers who does everything that they do incredibly well. So imitating her is one thing that is very hard and quite likely impossible to do for many artists and singers. Like Sam said, what I really love about creating and being an artist is that you soak in how somebody else does something, right? And then because you've done it, so you do it often the way that they do it, and then slowly but surely you start to learn the ways to do it in a way that's comfortable and that's authentic to you, so that it's you don't look like or seem like a copy. And it's the same thing when it comes to life. We learn the basics from whether it's our parents, from our co-workers, from our boss, and then we take that thing because we want to make it better, and because we want a promotion or we want people to just be impressed by our product. We take it and we make it better by adding something that is unique to us. And so art, the word art, is not only something that you create when you're singing or dancing or acting. It's something that you create within every single workspace, wherever you are, because art is really an extension of who you are as a person, right? It's the authenticity of who you are, the soul of who you are. So by adding who you are, you're already adding an artistic perspective, an artistic view to something, right? So for me, I think that's been the greatest part of the arts in my whole entire life, is because I've used the skills that I've learned in arts in so many other spaces. I'm able to speak now freely and a little bit more eloquently than I did when I was younger, because of the arts and because of the kind of literature that you get exposed to, the people that you get exposed to. And along the way, you take bits here, imitate a little bit, deconstruct, put together, and make the puzzle fit. And there you are, voila, it's you.
Amazing. So you started off as a singer, and this is the other funny thing about you. And maybe it is, in all of us, we don't have the confidence, maybe. And I'm talking specifically to the learners here, and that I met Ramelo long ago in Durban. And when I first met her, she was much younger, but I remember thinking we did Dolphins by Starlight together. And it was the first time I heard you. And I arrived from Joburg, and Joburg performers are all supposed to be seen as la 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 la, and they are. because, and then Durban, who has the most phenomenal talent, feel like maybe they don't get recognized, but there I am seeing Lelo sing, and I'm like, okay, so fast forward many years afterwards, and suddenly we're working together again, and this time we're performing together in a show that is requiring singing and dancing. Now, I'm a trained dancer, having danced from the time I was 5 or 6, but I don't think you're a trained dancer, are you, Lelo?
No.
And yet, we're in the rehearsal room, and there she is, picking up dance steps like, I mean, and it's all pop songs, so it's all like hip hop style dancing, and there she is going for it. I'm looking at her going, I better keep up, and I'm trying to. So how did you manage that? When did you realize that you could do that?
You know what, Sam, to be honest with you, in the beginning of my career, there was a time when I was performing somewhere and I was booed off stage, right? In Durban. It was quite traumatic. I was booed off stage. And I remember going back home and my dad said to me, so what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to sulk and cry about it? Or are you actually going to do something about it? And so since then, I decided that whatever I do, I am going to be so good that nobody can say no. Or at least I'm going to try, you know, so that people will come back for more. So when it comes to singing and dancing and acting, these things, especially when we're rehearsing, particularly in that situation, I always go back home and I put in the hours. It's all about putting in the hours if you really want to stand out, I think, in any situation. You really need to put in the hours and decide beforehand, before you have to put in the hours, that you are going to be somebody that people notice. Come hell or high water. You know, you are not going to allow laziness, bad work ethic, procrastination, all of those things that can be a hindrance to our success and growth. You're not going to allow those things to stop you from being the best that you can be. Right now, we're all sitting there. We know the things that we can achieve, and yet we also know the things that are holding us back from achieving those things. And all it requires is a switch in the head to say, you know what, I actually can't do this. I may not be trained in it, but I know that if I put in the hours home and I come back and I nail this routine, then no one will have anything to say. That's done, hired for this job, next job, and the next job. You know, so that was my thinking, especially early on in my career, because nobody knew me and I needed people to know me so that I can get more work and more exposure. Yeah.
And as artists, it's almost like your last job is like almost an audition for the next job. It always
Exactly.
is. There's a student from Unity that wants to ask a question.
Sure.
So Unity, go ahead. I can't read comments on my phone, so if someone can let us know what the question is, and then Lelo can. Is Unity there? Unity School? Who's the educator in charge? So Nolo?
Sorry, yes. Anna, you said that Unity had a question. Is there a question? Is that ready?
If you have a question, you can always just type it in the chat box as well.
Yeah, Ernest, sorry, Ernest, whenever the question is ready, just type it in and then I will answer it. I will ask it for you guys.
Thank you, T.
Thank you.
I want to go back now to Lelo. So let's talk about, so that was acting, right? That was singing, that was dancing. Now let's talk about acting. There is a question. Hi, my name is, it's gone again.
I can read it.
The question is, yeah, I can read it, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Tompo Munyati from Unity Secondary School. You mentioned that you were in high school. You mentioned that when you were in high school, you would go for competitions. Were you able to balance both your academics and art? Because sometimes one would spend a lot of time in something else and forget about their academics.
That's a very good question. And I have an experience where this question is concerned. I not only entered competitions, but I was starting to work in the arts when I was in high school. I was doing corporate gigs, like huge corporate gigs at the ICC and, you know, like these international doctors' conferences and all kinds of things, with a very close friend of mine, Kaya Mtetwa. Some of you guys will know him. And then there was also another guy, Clive. So we were a group and we called ourselves Black Magic. and I was really into that. So it was me singing and doing all of these corporates and then school. So what really helped me is that I decided that I'm not going to have time for anything else but those two things. So it's really important to set priorities, right? And make sure that whatever priorities that you have are the things that are going to move you forward in your future and the dreams that you have for yourself. Back then, I didn't know that I would end up being a singer, but I knew that it was important for my education to be on point. I knew that I couldn't neglect it. My parents certainly would not allow me to. So I could do all this singing and all this dancing and all this corporate work as long as I was getting A's and B's, maybe once in a while a C. You know, I was not allowed to flunk anything. Needless to say, I was a really bad mathematician and bad scientist. But thankfully, my teachers understood. So I think it's very important to have a support structure, people who understand you. So firstly, your parents, you know, you need to come to an understanding with them, be honest to them about your wishes, you know, and then they can be honest with you about how they think you should go about it so that there's no clash there, you know, because immediately when there's dishonesty and clashing between you and your parents regarding what you want to do and school, then there's this distrust that happens, and then they no longer see your the arts that you want to do as something beneficial to you. You know, you need to show them that it is something beneficial to you. It's teaching you important life skills like being on time and preparing, you know, and all of those sorts of things. So it's about setting priorities, making sure there's a balance, being honest with your support structure, your parents, those people who are putting you through school, whomever they may be. And then also not having time for anything else but the most important things. For me, I had no time for boys. I really didn't. It was really school and singing, school, singing, school, singing. So that way I struck a balance and my parents were happy. I was happy. I was making money as a high school student on the side, you know, it was great. So it's, yeah, so very important. Be balanced, be honest with your support structure about your desires. I think if you show them that, yes, this is what you desire to do, but I'm not going to allow my schooling to suffer, they will be even more supportive and more there for you where that is concerned. I hope that answers the question.
That was brilliant, because you actually spoken to what we're wanting to do with this program, which is essentially the fact that, you know, every week and every day there is engagement for the learners on the WhatsApp groups, but the tasks for each week are small. They're very small, but it means that every day you're engaging a little bit more with that particular task for the week. So this program is not supposed to detract from your education at all. This is just simply helping you, because when you're studying and you're working at school and it's online and it's at home and or online and at home because of COVID, or else at school, and you're having so many stresses and it's a lot of pressure, the arts help you also de-stress. So it gives you this beautiful outlet. So if you can make sure, like Lelo says, you get those priorities in place. With this program, know that every day there's going to be engagement. You will have me and Sonolo on those WhatsApp groups, being mentors to you. If you have a problem, talk to me, talk to us. I'm a life coach as well. So if there's anything you want to share, we'll help you with goal setting, with whatever it is you want to do. But at the same time, those small little tasks will help you feel like you're still working on your art, but not in a way that will take over your life, and it's not going to hinder your academics. So,
Sam, can I ask a question?
Yes.
I was just listening to your backstory, and I can imagine that while you were a student and at school and you were doing all these gigs on the side, you were probably earning good money for a student.
Yeah.
You know, it is a nice way to be earning pocket money and having a side hustle. But I imagine now that you're a professional, and maybe this is something we've got to get to, and maybe now's not the right time, but we all know that the creative artists in our society are not treated well, financially, commercially, contractually. And I think it's just something we need to be aware of, because kids going into this space, if you're thinking about a career in the performing arts, you know, a lot of performers will talk about they're driven by passion, they're driven by desire, they're driven by the need to perform. But for me, the irony is, as a student, you were probably earning better than your peers by performing. And yet, as an adult, as a professional, you're probably earning worse than your peers who have gone into conventional careers. Do you maybe we just want to touch on that?
Absolutely. You have hit the nail on the head there. As a student, I was definitely earning more than my peers. Even going into varsity, I was still performing and earning such good money. And I was even helping my parents out with buying books. You know, varsity books can be very expensive, you know, all those kind of things. Going into my career as an adult, particularly now, it is hard financially. That is no lie. Nobody must lie to any of these students about that. It is not something that I would desire anybody to really go through. It's not nice to be struggling financially, and that's the bottom line, particularly in South Africa. And that's what's happening with the artists, the majority of the artists in our country. So when it comes to careers in the arts, my number one advice to students would be, do your research and do a lot of it. You have the time to. Do your research in terms of, firstly, is this something that I'm really passionate about? And am I going to be able to handle the cons that come with it? Because there's a lot of cons that come with it, right? Two, I would say, whilst you are still in school, do think about maybe, perhaps, something that you would fall back on. If you get to a stage in your life and you decide, maybe the arts isn't for me. Because remember, like I said, it's hard. People think the arts, you just get on stage and you look glamorous. You only see what's already the finished product, but you don't see everything that happens before then, and you don't see all the things that you yourself need to do for yourself in order to be the front runner when it comes to being somebody who's booked a lot. It's not just about popularity. People want to work with people who are talented, one, but also they want to work with people who are good with people, people who are on time, like I said earlier, people who have a good work ethic. So are you going to be able to put in the work that is necessary in order to be that person? And then please do your research. Ask people. Ask me. Here I am. Yeah. Samantha's there. And there's so many different parts of the arts. It's not just about singing. on stage and acting and dancing. There's so many different areas of the arts that you can do whilst you singing, whilst you dancing, you know, that can then bring you the sort of income that'll make life a little bit easier for you as you try to reach your goals, whatever your goals might be. But also set goals, know exactly what you want. Don't go into the arts just saying, oh, I want to be a famous singer, or oh, I want to be a famous actor. Like, that's probably not going to happen if that's all you're saying about it. Do you understand? You need to set goals, and you need to be intentional about those goals. You know, you need to be intentional about what you want. Ask me, Sammy, what do I want in the next 5 years? And I'll tell you. Ask me.
What do you want to do in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I want to be the first African headlining Coachella. That's me. And I have plans in place to do that. And I'm making plans in place to do that. So today, tomorrow, you need to go to your friend sitting next to you and ask them, what do you want for yourself in the next 2, 3, 5 years? And what are your plans to get there? Without a plan, without a goal, just saying, oh, I want to be a famous this, I want to be a famous that, won't get you anywhere. As artists, most of us, we don't do this for the fame. Although it's nice, you know, it comes with its pros, you know, we do it because it started from a passion that we had, you know, and we knew that this is the thing that we wanted to do, and our purpose, this was our purpose for our lives. So find out what your purpose is. Your purpose won't always be something glitzy and glamorous, like being a singer and actor. It might be an accountant, you know, whatever it is. Like I said earlier, you can still add arts to it by adding yourself to it.
I love what you're saying there, because obviously the last year and going into this next year is exceptionally difficult for the arts, because theatres have closed down because of COVID. However, before then, I can say that I have been in the industry for 30 years. And the reason I managed to stay working in the industry and buy a house and buy a car and have a life is that I do believe in versatility. So I wasn't just a musical theatre performer. That's how I got in. Then I also worked in corporate entertainment, not only performing, but producing, creating, writing, directing. And then not only that, but then you can move into the space of jingles, voiceovers. There are so many aspects of the entertainment industry. And so when Lelo's saying research, do that. The other thing that I would say is that I don't believe in thinking about something back on.
Can I suggest that everybody mutes unless you're speaking?
Can you mute? So there you go. Thank you. So first of all, so yes, research. The other thing is, I don't believe in choosing something to fall back on. I think we are multifaceted as human beings. So as much as I'm interested in the arts, there's something else I'm interested in too, and to explore both. And my two passions have been the arts and then working with youth and personal development. I never realized how the two would link up, but I studied both of them. And suddenly now it's linking, so that I am now teaching the arts to youth to develop life skills. So sometimes what you think is a side hustle, or what you think is your job that you can fall back on, is actually something that you can blend into one big career that'll help your arts work.
Sam, so, if I can just add just a point, you know, some of you have joined us on this call and you're looking at the issue of the performance stage, and we're talking in a sense talent. And the danger with being talented is you believe that talent is enough. And, you know, there's a sports analogy where they say, you know, some of the top performing sports people, it's 5% talent and it's 95% hard work to get there. You got to work that much harder than the other people to compete. But the world that we're living in, and those of you who may not have joined us in the conversations around the world of work, in this digital world that we're living in with Facebook and YouTube and other types of issues, these major tech businesses have devalued the value of content. So many people around the world are giving away their content for free onto these platforms, onto Facebook, onto YouTube, and so on and so forth. And globally, what we've seen is the world is almost putting zero value on the originators of content, which is why it's so hard for creative people. Whether you're a journalist or an author or a performer, basically what the internet has done is it's made platforms for people just to put their product out there, and it's devalued it. And that is the risk of the world we're currently living in today, and it's something you've got to take on board very seriously. So having talent is amazing. You've got to work out how to use it. You've got to have an angle and a hustle to work out how you can monetize it, so that you can build a career and work out how you can earn off that talent, long into the future. But, the world has changed. Sam, I don't believe it, says she's been in the industry for 30 years. I find that hard to believe. But the world 30 years ago to today, today social media and the digital platforms dominate. And the impact of that means content is just so freely available. 1 or 2 people become a runaway success. That's 1 or 2 globally, out of 7 billion people. And we all know it's very, very remote that any one of us are going to be that Beyonce or whoever that person is. We aspire to it, but it's incredibly unlikely. There's 7 billion people on this planet, and there's a handful that make it at that level. So you've really got to think about your talent, the hard work, the hustle, as to how you can make this talent work for you. Sorry, back to you, Sam.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And when you said find an angle, I agree with you. There's something that makes all of us unique. And so find out what that is, know how you can make it slightly different and offer that up. But and I also think, with COVID now, and suddenly everything is falling away and structures are falling away, people are going to understand, finally, this is my belief and my hope, society will finally understand the importance of the arts. Because when we were in lockdown, as we've spoken about, what did we do? We're watching Netflix, we're listening to music, we've got beautiful art on our walls, we are, engaging in all sorts of artistic pursuits. And so we are reliant on the artists to actually make life more bearable. And I think COVID has highlighted that. I think post-COVID and moving forward, exactly as you say, and into this 4th industrial revolution, where suddenly now you can see things online. You're much closer to people. So I'm actually even, having done world tours in shows, still in contact with people who are living overseas. And suddenly there can be this beautiful collaboration that you're doing online. So I can be working with someone from Broadway because I know them. And we've made connection, and suddenly let's create a piece of work together. So it is about, we're lucky that the world has been made a lot smaller by us going online, but it also means that it gives you more opportunities. Yes, it might dilute a lot, but there is a lot more opportunities as well, a lot more opportunities to connect. And the other thing that I think COVID is teaching us is that you cannot do things alone. Really working together as a team, working in a network of people, working together, teamwork, and also the idea of service. What is the ultimate, why are you doing it? And as Lelo said, if you only go into something saying, I want to be famous, wrong attitude, because as Clifford said, it's going to happen to 1%. If you go into it saying, I cannot do anything else other than express myself this way, because I know it's going to make a change in the world, because I know it's the only way that I can get up out of bed every morning, because there is a drive, that's going to put you on another level. That's just my take. And I think that is what I'm hoping to work with you on during this entire rest of the year, is to give you those little insights on how to do that, how to manage your time, how to manage your goal settings, how to achieve those things. And then also what I love to do is to spot potential in people and help them to see it and to bring it out so that they can join the dots and understand what makes you different and unique. And I think that's important. So if there are before any other questions, I just want to speak to Lelo again about the fact that I want to move on to, first of all, her stage performance in The Color Purple. because again, this was something that she auditioned for, having never done acting classes. And suddenly there she is, and she's playing the part that Jennifer Hudson played in The Color Purple overseas. So Lelo, if you want to just let us know a little bit about Shug Avery. And if you guys don't know Color Purple, it's a brilliant novel written by Alice Walker, phenomenal piece of literature, but been turned into the most amazing musical as well.
Ooh, The Color Purple. Well, that was an experience and a half. It was a very life-changing experience for me. It was one of those moments where I had an aha moment, as Oprah would say, because it made me realize that if you say you can, then you can.
That's it.
You know, I've always been very tentative when it comes to acting. I've always felt like it wasn't something that I could do well at all. Nothing. It wasn't something I could do, just in general. And so when I finally got the chance to play Shug Avery, what really helped me do that role the best justice that I could was the people around me who were aiding me in creating this person, this character. But also, I think then I decided to shift my thinking. You know, a lot of the things that we achieve in our life or that we don't achieve is purely because of our thinking and what we think about ourselves. And so right then and then I decided, you know what, let me change my thinking and just say, hey, what if I do an amazing performance, you know, instead of, oh, what if my performance sucks, you know? Actually, the opposite. What if my performance is amazing, you know? So with anything, I guess, in life that is new and that is hard for you to do, that you think maybe, I don't think, Woodsy, I can do that. Just change your thinking. It all starts in the head, and then it flows through your body and into the world, you know? So you can't expect to grow in anything if your thinking is this small. You need to change the way you think and make your thinking this big, you know, regarding your goals, your plans for your life. Understand that your world starts in your head. And then after that, it's everything that you say and that you do.
Okay, so now having said that, so you had to play Shug Avery, Shug Avery, the American accent.
Yeah,
so how did you learn that? How did you manage to learn how to speak an American accent?
Well, the great thing is that we had a coach, a coach speak particularly in that Southern American accent. Because there's different kinds of American accents, Chicago, New York, there's all different kinds of American accents, but our coach was teaching us how to speak particularly in that Southern accent. But also I think it came easier than another person, I think, because of the fact that I've been singing for so long. And so with singing, your ear becomes very tuned to certain sounds. And beyond that, we live in a world where we hear a lot of American ways of singing. So and we watch a lot of American programs on TV. So we constantly hearing this American twang all the time. So because of that, and because of the fact that I was also singing all the time a lot of American songs in an American accent, it really aided me when it came to then speaking in an American accent. Yeah.
Okay, so can you remember saying something as Miss Shug Avery? And then we're going to ask you, can you remember some of the dialogue that you said? And then I'm going to ask you also to sing something from Color Purple, if you wouldn't mind.
Oh my gosh, dialogue from The Color Purple.
I know. It's like your mind, hey, it disappears. so long ago.
I can't. Let me try and remember. What did I used to say? Oh my gosh, I can't remember, but I can sing a song.
You'll probably remember the dialogue linked into the song. Do you remember? Did you guys sing? You sang "Color Purple," right? The actual, yes. Oh, please sing some of that if you can.
Okay, let me sing some of that. Let me get the lyrics before I sing something completely wrong. Quickly.
And the part of Shug Avery, if you want to also just talk about that.
Okay, sure. Shug Avery. Oh, I love playing Shug Avery. Completely different person to me. One of the things that I love the most about the arts is that you get to be somebody completely different from who you really are. But then, as you're acting and as you are becoming this person, you find similarities between you and the character, which is oh so amusing at times. But also you realize that you're not that different from this human being. What I love about acting, it helps us to really empathize and sympathize with people from all backgrounds, because you can play a villain, and you can hate this villain as a spectator watching them. But as you're playing them, because you know their backstory, you know their life, you start to empathize with them and understand why they are the way that they are. And so Shug Avery was a very sassy, sexy woman who told it like it is. She was all about girl power, woman power, and she was all about the freedom to do and say as she pleases. She had multiple partners at times, which was, I guess, back then and even now, something that was a bit taboo, particularly back then. But that's why, in many ways, I say she was very risque, which is very different from me. I'm the opposite of risque. I'm very boring, can be very boring at times. But then I found similarities with Shug. She loves performing. Like when she's performing, she's in her element, and that's me. I love performing. When I'm performing, I feel like everything, I know it sounds cheesy, this is going to sound so cheesy, but everything just makes sense. I'm like, aha, this is why I'm here on this earth, to do this. She loves performing and she loves people. She loves to take care of people, particularly the lady who played the lead role. They were very close together. And I think that's something that I have in me. I love people, and I love taking care of people and being around people. So here's one of the songs that I sang. It was called The Color Purple. So it goes, God is inside you and everyone else that was or ever will be. You came into this world with God, but only them who look inside find him. Just as sure as moonlight bless the night, like a blade of corn, like a honey bee, like a waterfall, all a part of me, like the color purple. Where do we come from? Open up your eyes. Look what God has done.
I love you.
Yay.
I love you. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
And then you also, what you remind me of as well is when you were watching, you told me to watch Genius with Miss Aretha Franklin.
Oh, Miss Aretha.
Miss Aretha. and you spoke about the lead character that's actually playing Aretha in that actually played Celie in Color Purple. And this, so just to let the learners know, so Lelo tells me, so brilliant because she managed to get the sound of Aretha's voice because she managed to make it a little bit more like a higher soprano belt. So Lelo, can you sing a little bit of Respect? Do you know Miss Respect?
Can I sing another one? Can I sing Natural Woman? Because that's an Aretha.
Please.
I'll sing Natural Woman.
And afterwards, if I can answer some questions, but let's just hear some Aretha.
Sure.
Who says that was beautiful, by the way?
Thank you.
In the meantime, while Lelo is looking for
while Lelo's waiting for or looking for her song, just to say that this platform is available to all of you learners, and if you feel you can outperform Lelo, she's just singing from her desk.
Bring it on.
She's just singing from her desk in her room. There's no props, there's no setting, and we would love to share that. So we're inviting every one of you, whether it's performance or dance or even singing, you give us a little video clip, we're going to play it, we're going to discuss it, we're going to share it with experts. And I think Lelo is setting the benchmark here. And as she says, bring it on. Every single one of you are invited to respond to this challenge.
Thank you, Clifford.
Yes, please.
So there's some questions. I think, was it Musa that had a question and Jade that had a question in the meantime? Anyone wants to ask, go ahead.
Here's the song. Looking out on the morning rain, I used to feel so uninspired. And when I knew I had to face another day, Lord, it made me feel so tired. Before the day I met you, my life was so unkind, and you're the key to my peace of mind. And you make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel like a natural woman, yeah. Oh, when my heart was in the lost and found, you came along to claim it. I didn't know exactly what was wrong with me till your love helped me name it. Now I'm no longer doubtful of what I'm living for, 'cause if I make you happy, I don't really need to do more. And you make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel like a natural woman, yeah. Oh, baby, what you done to me, you make me feel so good inside. And I just wanna be close to you. You make me feel so alive. You make me feel, hey, you make me feel like a natural woman. Oh, woman, oh, make me feel, oh, baby, you make me feel, oh, baby, you make me feel like a natural woman, yeah.
So I'm watching all of these comments coming through, and someone said they want to cry, and then just as they said that, I started to cry.
Sammy, don't cry.
just phenomenal. And that's no microphone, that's no auto-tuning, honey. That is live singing on a crappy microphone linked to a computer. You sound like that. Amen. Amen. Oh my goodness. And so finally, Lelo has become Ramelo. And so I wanted to do the transition into that now, because as the learners can see, this is an artist who has spent many years honing her craft, and she sounds like that. And she's not once put out her album until now. And finally, she's writing and recording. And it is the birth of Miss Ramelo. So tell us about that.
Well, the birth of Ramelo. For those who just joined us, I've changed my name 3 times. This is the 3rd time I've changed my name. And I did it, I guess, particularly because I felt like we're in a different time, in a different space. I myself, as a grown-up woman now, no longer the Pumi who used to do all those competitions, no longer the Lelo who was always scared to act and dance, you know. Now I'm Ramelo, the person who actually knows who they are. I know where my strengths and my weaknesses lie. And so the name Ramelo is really just a combination of who I am, of all my experiences, all the places I've performed, all the people I've performed with, all the things that I've learned along the way that have brought me to Ramelo, you know. And the writing process, I've been writing for a long time. I think what I like to say to people is that timing is everything. And I felt like this was the right time for me to now release the song, which is called Hey Wena. Go check it out.
You gonna sing it, Miss Thing, on here.
I'm gonna sing it. So the song itself is called Hey Wena, and I created it during this whole pandemic. And the song really comes from a place of frustration for me, mainly about the arts and what we were talking about earlier with Clifford and you, Samantha, about how particularly within the pandemic, we've seen how artists, nobody really cares about them in the way that they actually really should care about them. And I've seen my fellow peers really struggle through this whole pandemic in ways that they shouldn't, because as artists, we're not the kind of people who ask for handouts anyway, whether it be from the powers that be or from the people that we know. We really are all about getting the work done and doing what we're meant to be doing. So it really was a heartbreaking thing for me to see. And for myself and my husband is also an artist. He's a drummer and a pianist and a producer, very talented man. And both of us being in the arts really hit hard, really hit our home hard. And what happened was we ended up last year, particularly, creating a fruit and veg business to keep ourselves afloat. Needless to say, this fruit and veg business became such a success that we ended up needing funding in order to sustain it now, because the demand was so great. So basically the song is about how, firstly, at the end of the day, there's no point in crying over spilt milk. There's no point in complaining even. You really just have to get on with the business of pulling yourself together and getting on with life in spite of whatever things are happening around you. So yes, I was touching on the subject of arts and how you taking us as artists for granted. But what I was also actually saying is that whoever you are, in whatever space you are in your life, you have the means to take those lemons that you get given by life, because you know life will give you lemons, and then you can make yourself some lemonade and lemon poppy seed muffins and lemon meringue pie and just be great with life. So it's about not giving up. It's about the human spirit, not giving up on yourself, on your dreams, on the things that you want to see happen for yourself and your life. Yeah.
Beautiful. So would you grace us with your latest single?
Absolutely.
And even before you do, you know what I love the story, and I would love the learners to know, is how it came about, and the fact that you were working with your young brother, who happens to be a young producer, with which I think the way the story came about as well, like he would never have normally been working with you, and Mike suddenly heard him playing some beats and working on the computer, and suddenly he was like, that's a song.
So the song, my husband and I, we went to Durban. We were contemplating moving back to Durban because of the pandemic. And then my brother has a makeshift studio in one of my mom's rooms. And we decided to just create a song. But what actually happens is that my brother and his colleague, they sell beats to different people. I'm sure all of you young women and young men know all about creating beats on the computers, etc. That's what a lot of young people are doing these days. And they were scrolling through their archive and they came across this particular beat for this song. And my husband was like, hey, wait a minute, this sounds like something that could be a really great song. My younger brother's friend was like, nah, this is just another one of those beats. But my husband's like, no, I promise you this beat is going to be great. And so him and my husband and my brother, they worked on it. And then I wrote the lyrics in one day. They just poured out of me. It's just one of those moments when everything just comes together. Yeah, and then here's the song.
Go.
They never really cared about us. Tina says we will take that as a color, pusha. Kodwa buka manje sibonga usoma dano musa. Like atomic missiles, we be fired up, hey. I feel it down in my soul. It's the right time to go. Press play, forget the controls. Aboni's got a lot of seco. There's no time for us to cry over spilled milk. Ugona gala gobi sublunga guamash. Tetela ikas, ulungi suput. So bizaba pants. Wozo the night. Hey, Helena. Tina says we will take dollars at Kalasi Pusha. Kodwa buka manje sibonga usoma dano musa. Helena. We're getting ready like atomic missiles. We be fired up. Please don't be calling me when I finally make it. Tripping over your words again, mouth hanging. Kaya tili rooms alone and gandanas. Oh, yeah. They never really cared about us. Oh. Getting ready like atomic missiles, we be fired up, yeah. Yeah.
I love the mix of cultures and sounds and everything that you are